today, but hey, even if it does, yeah,
We
it
are
still does. I
live.
don't know why it does not like me rumble, but you know what? All good because, sir, we are live. What's going on, brother?
Not too much. How you doing?
I am still
I'm in
amazed,
this. Sorry, I'm in the zone. I got all our topics. I'm ready to go. But yeah,
bro.
I guess we do have to do the small talk and shoot. I mean, you're
I don't do
it's
small
funny.
talk. I don't do small talk. You know what? Screw this shit. No small talk.
No, no, hold on. It's
Today,
funny. It's like
no, no,
like I told you.
shush. I'm gonna mute you. I'm a mute
Do
you.
you have that? Do you have that power? Is that
I
possible?
was just going to see if I could. Oh, yeah, I can. See, there you go. Muted. You're muted, man. Nobody can hear you. Nobody can hear you. I muted you. I have the power to mute you, but you have the power to unmute yourself, though, I think. You don't? It's
Yeah,
because you don't know how. Yeah,
yeah.
see?
Okay. I'm unmutable, baby. I can unmute anything.
I'm uncensorable. You cannot censor me. But
Yeah.
you know what, man? I don't need to censor you because you're sucking on tea. That's gay enough. I don't need to do anything else than just pointing out.
It's funny. My
I'm
girlfriend says the
surprised.
same thing. She's
Oh, it
like,
is pretty
Jesus.
gay.
She's like, yeah.
It
She's
is
like, when are you gonna
pretty
grow up?
gay. Yeah, that's pretty gay. Pretty gay, but hey. You are Canadian, so right off the bat, we assume you're a bit gay. You're liberal on top of that, so obviously we expect that you experimented.
Oh, come
So
on. Coming from the Quebecer, the Quebecois guy. It's funny. When I was in the army, we had a lot of French guys, obviously, and good camaraderie. But it's just funny how like all French guys, it just seems like they're always doing some gay shit, like wrestling with in their underwear or something, and for them it's just like, yeah, it's no big deal. It's like, bro, it's a little gay.
bro, I come from a martial art background, so I'm a martial art instructor, and I've done a lot of Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So I've rolled with a lot of sweaty men on the ground with not a lot of clothes on. So
Yeah,
you know
yeah. I
what
mean,
is
that's.
that gay? Is that gay? You know, here's the
Got
truth.
the.
It's not gay because we weren't making eye contact.
That's
That's
right.
the
That's right.
important part. If you make eye contact as you're wrestling with a dude, that's fucking
It's
gay.
gay.
But if you're
Maybe
not, it's fine, man. It's just dudes being dudes.
be awkward boners though, eh? How do you play that off if it happens?
Okay, if
Is
that
that
never
gay?
happens,
That's gay. All right, I got you.
okay, that's gay with a flavor of something else, bro. Like that has never happened to me.
I
Yeah,
feel like
that would be oof.
I feel like you never really hear about it. There's got to be obviously it's something like I'm sure when your brain's engaged in like actual combat, it's probably. But fuck, would it be embarrassing? Be awkward.
I would be curious if we do have women on here that are martial art practitioner, like jujitsu especially. I do wonder if that has happened to them, because I got to tell you, man, there you can wrestle and you can roll around, as we call it, with very good looking women, and some of the positions are almost sexual, right?
Almost.
It
Jesus.
has it must have happened somewhere that a guy found it, something happened, and I
I'm
won't roll with
sure.
women. Let's just say that, as bad as this sounds, I don't roll with women. I don't want to get, because you know what? You're rolling, you're reaching for an arm, you're reaching for something, grab a handful of boob and grab a handful of something else.
It seems.
It's
I mean,
part of
it
the
seems
game, but
like.
I don't need to
Yeah.
be put in that situation in the same way as if I'm taking a picture with, at an event. I don't touch women at a picture either. Like I'll make sure that my hands are very well shown on the camera where I'm touching her. So it's
I mean,
unfortunate, but this is the world we live in now.
yeah. I mean, and it is like that. But yeah, it's funny. Just go back to what we were talking about a minute ago.
You
Even
being
Tom
gay?
Brady, right? No, no. After that, now I was going to talk about Tom Brady because we were talking about like guys rolling
Yeah.
around and fighting.
Yeah.
Like it's motherfucking Tom Brady, and he loses his wife when she goes out and she left him for her jujitsu
Little
instructor.
Brazilian
So,
guy.
I mean, if it
Yeah.
happens to Tom
Yeah.
Brady, I mean, who among us is safe? You know what I mean?
No one is safe. No
No,
one is safe.
no.
So, bro, what do we got on the menu? We got 4 things today. We're going to
Yep.
talk about Nancy Pelosi. And this is a question I have for you guys. Is she the best trader of all time?
The best investor of
Number
all
2, we're
time.
going to talk about the Selena Gomez hypocrisy.
Absolutely
3,
not.
JD Vance owning a reporter in a very beautiful fashion. And number 4, something that even you were surprised by. The New York Times tells us that 15% of female prisoners are actually dudes.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, like you said, this is kind of my meat and potatoes. This is my wheelhouse, right? This is what I talk about a lot. And
Yeah.
even I was shocked. I was floored when I heard that stat. So of course we'll
So
discuss that too.
basically, it's just under 1 out of 6 prisoners in female prisons are dudes.
It's insane.
1 out of
I mean,
6. 1 out
it's.
of 6.
I'll hold what I'm going to say till we get to it because I'm going to hold that in.
What?
Unless
You're
you
cupping?
want to.
You're cupping? You're cupping?
No,
Is that
no,
what
no.
you're doing?
No. Just
Um,
the whole idea of it. But I want to keep my powder dry, so to speak. So we'll start at the top of your list there.
but before we do that, I want to
Mhm.
remind you guys, everybody that's listening, please interact, comment, let us know what you're thinking. If you have topics that you think we should talk about, let us know. Send them our way. And, don't forget, the whole point of us doing this live is that we can have an interaction with you. So let us know what you're thinking. Agree, disagree. I expect some of you, maybe a good portion of you, to not agree with me. Tell me. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I know I'm an asshole. I'm telling you right now. This is not a surprise. I already know. My wife tells me all the time. It's fine. I know.
Yeah.
I know that I'm an asshole.
You got your hat handy? Your tinfoil hat in case you need it?
It's not in case I need it. I'm starting with this like right off the bat, bro.
When?
If,
not if, but when.
I'm leaving it on my desk. It's literally, I have my coffee, my hat, and my water. This is what's on my desk right in front of me, and it will stay there. And because we're talking about my hat, we're going to start right there. I'm going to put it right now. Because we're starting, we're starting as if it was a conspiracy, but I guarantee you that by the time we're done here, it ain't a conspiracy. I'm just putting it on because I enjoy wearing my tinfoil hat, but it ain't a conspiracy. So the question was, simple question. Is Nancy Pelosi the greatest traitor of all time? I believe that she actually is. I believe that she is the greatest. Not saying that she's doing it legally, but I'm saying that if you look at the numbers and the fact that she's been doing it for more than 10 years, 11 years to be precise, she is the best.
Do you have those numbers in front of
you? Well, see, and this is the thing. This is what I wanted to share today because I was doing some research on here, and before we jump on this live, obviously, and I want to find the post. There it is. So there is a post. There is a place called. There's a post. There's an account on X that is called Nancy Pelosi Stock Tracker. Like, this is how funny this has become. This is an actual account, and I don't know if you know, I should have looked at what it was. I totally forgot. But there is a company in the US. You know what they do? They actually bet on what Pelosi does. So it's a tracker that might be their account actually. But the whole point is that company will offer you the stock trade that Pelosi's making so that you get to copy it, so that it's the same. So here's what they posted. Nancy Pelosi finished 2024 54% up in her stock portfolio. She basically she outperformed nearly all of the biggest hedge funds in the world.
Okay.
And I'm saying nearly because there's probably one or two that she didn't beat. So I'm giving myself some leeway here. But the point is that she literally made 54%. So 54%.
What was the number? What was the number you told me over the last 10 years?
This is the next one. Again, I was doing some research, and if we go to ibtimes.co.uk, it starts Nancy Pelosi's portfolio performed 54%, right there, 54%, right? But here's what it starts. The article starts by stipulating that Nancy Pelosi's portfolio has returned over 700% since 2014. 700%.
So,
She 700%.
I know.
Just
Yeah. I think that's it's important to say it like that, because if anyone is not that into investing, those numbers are absolutely impossible to do properly, legitimately. That you cannot have those kind of gains over that long period of time, legitimately. So what's going on, Nance?
If you look, if you do some, if you do some trading,
she's either the best trader in the world.
But if you do some trading, you go on the SP 500, for example, which is the 500 most profitable companies in the US. You buy that stock, which is normally a lot of people will do that, right? Instead of doing mutual funds. And over the past 100 years, every 10 years, you can show a 10% increase year over year. 10%. If you have a 10% increase in your money, that's a good trade. She did more than 5.5 that last year. She did 54%. So she did 5 times what the average return is of this SP 500, which is one of the most successful stock to buy on the fucking market. And over 11 years, she's at 700%. How's that possible? And why am I bringing this up? This is the real question, right?
She goes Bernie Madoff.
Why am I?
It isn't.
So why am I bringing this up? This is the question, because I don't know if you guys know, but yesterday, the number one thing that was, that went viral on Google Trend, the number one thing that was trending is the fact that Nvidia shares, the price of their share lost $700 billion in evaluation, making it the biggest single one-day loss in US history. That was yesterday. But of course, she saw it coming.
Did Nancy get
because on December 31st last year, she got rid of 10,000 shares of Nvidia. And this is how she made most of her money last year, because Nvidia came out with some AI softwares that are just great. They were the leader until recently in AI development. So she made a shit ton of money with those stocks. Somehow the most profitable stock that she had, she got rid of on December 31st, and it's evaluated between $1 and $5 million. They don't say the exact number, they just give you brackets. It's between 1 and 5 million. But here's what I want to point out that's even more interesting. So not only did she predict the biggest one-day loss,
10,000 shares, right?
She sold 10,000 shares valued between 1 and 5 million. They don't tell you exactly, because they don't have to report the exact number. They have to give you like margins. So 1 to 5 million.
Just the genetic. Yeah.
But the thing is
between
that
$1 and $5 million. Well, that's quite the hunch.
And that was her most valuable. Like, that's the stock that made her the most money last year. That's her best return. But on that same day, and this is what I want people to look at, on that same day, she sold 31,600 shares of Apple, valued at $5 to $25 million. She also purchased 50 call actions in Google's parent company, Alphabet Inc., and Amazon.com Inc., making both trade a value between 250,000 and 550,000. So, and 500,000, sorry. So between 250,000 and $1 and $500,000. So basically on that same day, she basically saved herself millions of dollars, and she bought
millions
in. So I want people, I'm going to keep an eye on this. I'm going to keep an eye on Alphabet Inc. and on Amazon.com. How much you want to bet that something big is coming up? That within the next month or two, Alphabet Inc. is going to come out with something incredible.
Well,
and Amazon.com is going to come out with something too. That's what Nancy Pelosi is great at doing. She predicts the future.
She's a savant. She's a fortune teller. I mean, she just must be the best investor in the world, is what I would say. I was going to say you should probably take that tinfoil hat off, because this is clearly not a conspiracy theory, right? I mean, obviously we're being sarcastic here. It's clear what's going on. And I mean, Nancy Pelosi is kind of an, high profile. It's easy to single out, but it really isn't just her. It's all of them. It is all Congress. They are allowed to trade. Now, technically, they're not allowed to trade on their information, but they clearly still do. Nancy Pelosi has a net worth of $240 million. How does a career politician get that? It's just, there's just no way she could do it without, illegally using the information that she has to trade. And it's an epidemic. All of Congress does this. I mean, it's a major problem.
Hold your thought. We'll play that again. Let's play this one once again. It's just loading right now.
Democrats who walk the walk and talk the talk. There is an insane amount of hypocrisy. And the hypocrisy is what gets exploited to use the cynicism. And wherever there's a hypocritical window, for example, I think one of the most biggest examples of this is insider trading in Congress. Like,
dude, I don't know if do I give snaps? I don't know what the kids do anymore.
Jon Stewart knows.
Dude,
it is
that's so crazy.
It's so crazy. It's crazy. I mean, and this is the thing. It's like people think that everyday people are stupid. I'm like,
so
they do.
This is coming from AOC, somebody that I dislike to the greatest extent. And when I saw this video, I went to do research on her value. As much as I dislike her for her politics, I don't like her as a person. She is not rich. Her net worth is pretty much in line with her salary. That's what I was very surprised, because when I saw that video, I'm like, I won't lie to you. I'm like, oh, you bitch. Gotcha. I started doing research, and I'm like, you know what? Actually, her net worth is pretty bang on. So she is talking about a problematic that she's not taking advantage of. At least if she is, it's not being reported somewhere. She's giving the info to somebody else. But all to say that she called it out. I don't like her, but I have to respect the fact that she did. But this is not even a conspiracy theory. Like, how you said 240 million.
This is just something that's happening.
How is a congresswoman, somebody that is serving her people, that should be spending all of her time helping people? Not only does she have the time to play the stock market, she is one of the most successful person, if not the most successful person in the US doing it. She's done 54% increase in her portfolio just last year, and 700% since 2014, while having a full-time job as a congresswoman. Like, if you compare, it's not that she's only outperforming the biggest hedge fund out there. What's crazy is that she's doing it while having another job, a full-time job. It's not even her bread and butter. So, and she's worth 240 million. Like, come on, please, please. What's going on here?
And I think it's a great topic. It kind of is right in the wheelhouse of this show, because we've talked a lot about trying to get back away from a lot of the culture wars, just the bullshit politics as usual. But one of the things that we've discussed a lot is just there's a vacuum or a complete lack of good governance today. And we see that everywhere. We see that, we're seeing the fruits of that, with the LA wildfires. And we're seeing that here. And it's all connected. The fact that Nancy Pelosi is worth $250 million is connected to the fact that LA burned, not directly, but the fact is, the system right now is just so corrupt. And we have to get back to a place of just good governance. Like, you can't have us members of Congress enter their middle class and leave with $250 million, because all that's going to do, it's just corrupt. But all it's going to do is incentivize the exact wrong type of people that we need as politicians. Really, you want as a politician or leader, you want someone who doesn't want it. Someone who takes it as a sense of duty. But if you're going to make clear that you come be congressman or woman for 20 years and you'll have $250 million, besides just the obvious corruption, you're going to have a Congress or a political system full of the exact wrong kind of people, the people who are not making decisions with the best interests of the country. And, it all goes downhill from there once you start getting away from just pure good governance principles. And if we could do anything with this podcast, hopefully we can raise awareness about, we're just two guys shooting the shit, but there's other people who feel this way. We
And
just
the
have to talk
craziest
about
thing
it.
is you mentioned
to-
the LA fire, but you mentioned the LA fires. Do you know that through marriage, Gavin Newsom and Pelosi were related?
I didn't, but I mean, it doesn't surprise me. Like politics is incredibly incestuous, especially
But look at his
the
value.
top levels. It's all. Well, I mean, Nancy Pelosi's daughter has some super cushy job. Came up and to pick up some obscure government posts. Like, you tell me that's not corruption? Like it's like George Carlin said. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. Me and you guys, like the middle class, the working class, we ain't in it. And we've made it way too comfortable for these people, and we are reaping right now what we sowed. We allow people who are only interested in enriching themselves to be our leaders. And you look around at the mess that we're in right now, and we reaped what we sowed. On some level, it's our fault. So at some point, we got to either shit or get off the pot. Like, we can't keep going this way.
And you look at Gavin Newsom, and the reason I was talking about the fact that they were related through marriage is the fact that on a salary of $234,000, he's worth more than $20 million.
Mm-hmm.
And he's made most of his money investing.
Did he have money? Did he have money before? Did he come in
Most
with money?
of them,
Some people like Mitt Romney or whatnot, they come in rich, right? And it is what it is. But you come in as middle class and you leave with $250 million. I got some serious questions.
Oh no, Nancy Pelosi is like a lifelong politician. So all she technically has as money is her salary. I don't know a lot of people that make 200 grand a year that are worth $250 million or $240 million. Actually, I don't know one. I haven't met one yet. This is what blows my mind is that in my old job, those were my salaries. So I'm looking at what they're doing and I'm like, okay,
$250K.
I'm like, yeah, the type of money that they made is engineers. That's what they make, right? It's just the way it is. I've never met one. I've met some that had $1 million net worth because they had good investment, but a couple of millions.
Over time, sure. I mean, that's a good
but
salary.
240 million. Like, why even working? See, this is the question. If your net worth is $240 million, why are you still working? Why are you still a congresswoman? This is really
that's how they got that money.
But this is the question, right? I mean, at this point, you should put a tinfoil hat on because technically, we prove it? But all I'm saying is this is the question we should be asking. So not only is she worth $240 million, but why the fuck is she still working? Why the hell is she doing still what she does every day? If it wasn't for the fact that it's very, very rewarding for her to do so.
There's also there's a lot of status, in being a politician or a Speaker of the House. And these are just, people who believe they deserve that. They believe they've earned it. They believe that they earned everything that they have. And at some point, we, the people, need to remind them that, these people work for us. They do not work for themselves, and that got lost somewhere along the way. I don't know what the solution to that is. I think, to me, term limits seem pretty low-hanging fruit. You know what I mean? I think maybe 3 or 4 Congress, terms in Congress, because it's only 2 years, right? Maybe 2 years as a senator. I know people will say, I've heard the argument, oh, well, no, you'll lose all the institutional knowledge. Yeah, that's the point. The institutional knowledge on how to be corrupt. Like, that's exactly what we're trying to get rid of. Because once you stick around for some of these senators, you know, they've been there for 20, 30, 40 years. Like, motherfuckers are barely alive. Like, they've got, I don't know if you've ever seen that movie Weekend at Bernie's. You know what I mean? It's just like a dead corpse dancing around. Now, if you saw the movie, that reference would make more sense. But basically, but Joe Biden's an example of it. I mean, well, yeah, he's an example of it, but it's the whole system. We make it so quick, and they don't even have to do anything, right? They just show up. They have aides do all the stuff for them. They have aides write their bills, vote for them. They just sit there, collect money, trade on their inside information, and you know, look down at the rest of us peasants. And on some level, it's our fault for allowing it.
And right now, it says that Gavin Newsom's worth $42 million, earns $5 million annually through his business, lobbying, and investments. How the fuck is how the fuck is he allowed to do lobbying?
He's a fucking governor of California. Are you kidding me? Holy hell, man! We're in the wrong business, buddy. We are in we got to get into that racket.
You know, that's the thing, right? This is, you know, I don't want to. I would never be able to live with myself. I'm a God-fearing man, and that would be wrong. But this would be wrong. I cannot take...
$250 million might help me live with it. But yeah,
it wouldn't.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Nope, couldn't do it because I have more morals than that. Plus, I've learned a long time ago that money is not everything. As long as you have a certain amount that you're able to.
That's true. Yep.
I think the research was saying that if you have something along $60,000 to $70,000 a year, that anything above doesn't really change your life that much. If you have a place to stay, okay, sure, you'll have a nicer house. You might not live in an apartment. You might have a house. You might have a nicer house. You might have a nicer car. But at the end of the day, study shows that it doesn't make you happier. What you want is having a work to personal life balance. You want to be able to spend money with your family, have fun, enjoy life, have time to just party, travel, just whatever makes you happy, right? But at the same time, money's not everything. You need a certain amount. But come on, these guys are clearly taking advantage of the system. But you're absolutely right by saying that we're letting it. It's our fault. That one's on us. It's 100% on us.
Yeah. At some point, like it's not like even like. It's not even like it's hidden, you know, it's hiding in plain sight. So at some point, the blame lies with us. You know, fool me once, shame on how the fuck that goes. But you know what I'm talking about. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Yep.
But yeah, we can't. At some point, people just got to either get sick of it or just accept it and just watch sort of society slide into even more corruption and you know. Hopefully we don't go that route.
But I think that's what's happening. I think that because you look at the video, the AOC video that I shared again today, that video did not go viral. I did not see that video on any mainstream media yet. If Trump,
I don't think it's a surprise.
No, but
I think most people believe this.
But screw the fact that it's a surprise or not. You have a congresswoman that is admitting on camera that congressmen are doing something illegal. Because this is not a moral thing. This is literally illegal. They are not allowed to do that. Yet, no consequences. Mainstream media is not talking about it. I guarantee you that if Trump was found to do insider trading, it would be the end of the world. It would have been. He almost got put in jail for misquoting something on paperwork. Imagine if he was caught doing inside trader, if somebody would come up and say, you know what, he's doing it. No, you have full platform, full accounts on X making fun of Pelosi. You have platforms, investment platforms based on what she does. As a trader, everybody knows she's inside trading, but they're like, you know what? If I can beat them, join them. So they bet on the same thing that she does because obviously she knows something we don't.
Well,
so it's not even hidden, but no consequences, zero consequences for their actions. No wonder they still do it. Yet
Well,
People just don't
yeah.
care anymore. I think that people are just like, this is the system in which we are, in which we're in, and let's just accept it. But you know the thing, I've spoken to hundreds of people on podcast episodes. I've met some of the greatest mind on the planet, and you know the thing that I see time and time again, the people that should be politicians do not want
They
to
aren't.
do it.
That's right.
Every single person that I've ever met, and I'm talking at least, I can think of at least 10 right now that should be in politics. They would be the perfect people to be there and shake things up. They don't want to do it. They're like, nope, I'm too small for the system. I don't want to get the chance to be corrupt. I cannot deal with what it means to clean that mess up. But this is the reality of things, is the best people for the job don't want to do it because we all know that it's corrupt to a point that, is there really a
Well,
solution
it's because
outside of
the corruption is. Sorry, go ahead.
no.
I was saying
It's just
the
to say that,
corruption
is
is
there a
the point.
solution? Mhm.
Yeah, no. Well, the corruption is the point. If you yourself are not corrupt, there's no real incentive to go be a leader, other than just a sense of duty and doing the right thing. Unfortunately, that's not really the way the system is set up. It's set up for self-enrichment, and again, whatever the solutions are, like no one's even talking about it. Like you said, it doesn't surprise me that didn't go viral because, like I said, usually things that will go viral or are news are things that are a surprise. If it's something that everyone already knows, if breaking news, the sky is blue, it's not going to go viral. Everybody knows that already. So yeah, I mean, I think I don't know what the solution is, but we're gonna at least we can do is sit here and complain about it.
I think that outside of getting rid of every single person that's there, you know what? Do you know Bukele?
Instead of just eliminating Congress completely.
No, but do you know who
Which
Bukele is?
probably
The president of El Salvador. Did you see him? Do you know who that guy is?
No, I mean,
that should be an episode. That should be a full episode. But if you want to know how to do it, you have to do something like Bukele did. He basically took El Salvador, the most violent country in South America, arguably in the world, and he brought it to a place where people that left El Salvador, that immigrated to different countries, are actually going back.
Mm-hmm.
He jailed something stupid like 50,000 people. He basically told criminals, if you guys do not stop what you're doing, I will jail you. Here's how much time you got. If you don't, he did. Then he looked at all fucking politicians, every single one that was corrupt. Fuck you, you're out. He changed absolutely everything. But unfortunately, in order to do that, he had to vote himself emergency powers. So he basically became a dictator. He will say it himself that he became a dictator, but that's the only way this is gonna work, right? One of my buddies used to tell me, he's from France, he's a French guy, and he believes in monarchy. He believes that the best system in the world is monarchy, because if your king is raised right, he will do the right thing for its people.
But that's such a massive if, though. I mean, if he was raised right. But if he's not, then you're all fucked. I mean, I would strongly disagree that the monarchy is the best system.
Okay, so let's say, again, I don't agree or disagree with him. All I'm saying is I'm pointing out what he said. But here's the thing. You look at politicians right now, you assume right off the bat they're corrupt. Right off the bat, we assume that it's corrupt. At least I do. Then
I wouldn't say I automatically do, but yeah, I mean, I'm not quite as far as you, where I always assume it, but I'm generally half expected all the time. But anyways, go ahead.
Oh, okay, let me ask you a question before I make my point. Let me ask you a question. If you commit murder and I know about it and I don't report you,
ooh, that's a good question.
No, but you know that if you do a murder, I'm aware of it, I don't report it, you get caught. I am included because I did not tell on you. By law, I will go to prison too. This is why I'm saying that. This is why I'm saying every single politicians out there is corrupt, because if they are not themselves doing it, they know who is, and they're not doing it. So AOC basically is guilty by association, just like I would be if you committed a crime, got caught, and I didn't say anything about it because I knew. This is the reality.
Yeah, okay.
So what?
I mean, I'm with you, but like to me, like we don't need to try to change the behavior of politicians. Just change the fucking law. That's the easy thing to do. Just make it illegal, and then.
But it is illegal. But it is already.
Close the loophole. Close the loop. Well, it's not illegal for them to trade. It's illegal for them to trade on inside information, and then of course they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to sell 5 million shares worth of Nvidia," but there's no inside information. Hint, hint, wink, wink, and then a month later,
nobody cares.
Completely. Yeah,
nobody cares.
That's the loophole. But what I'm saying is, we should make if you're a member of Congress, you cannot. That's just what you have to give up. You cannot invest.
But they will continue doing it. It's going to become the husband. The husband is going to be the one worth $240 million instead of a Nancy Pelosi, for example. I mean, so where does it? No, but where does it end? You cannot put so many restrictions.
Yeah, but if there's political will, you can do something. Because like you said, if it's the husband that's $250,000, I guarantee you, any look into the finances of that family with a forensic accountant is going to find like evidence that they were doing illegal shit. It's just nobody does anything. Nobody cares. Like we all know, for Pelosi to be worth $250 million, that illegal shit happened. And I bet you, if you did a deep dive into her finances, and it wouldn't even have to be all that deep, you're going to find a lot of evidence, but nobody does it. You know what I mean? It's more the culture. It's I guess a devolution or a degeneracy of the culture of you talk about accountability all the time. I mean, this is downstream of that, but you're right. When accountability goes out the window, you see the negative effects everywhere you look. Yeah, I feel like we should probably get moving to our next topic because we're at almost 40 minutes and we're at our first one. I mean, that's kind of our MO.
But this one's going to be quick, though. This won't be quick.
This won't be quick.
I will just play the video, tell you exactly what I. Yeah. This shows how hypocritical people are. Watch this video, and we'll talk about it after.
I just wanted to say that I'm so sorry. All my people are getting attacked. The children. I don't understand. I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything, I promise.
Oh my Jesus Christ.
This video, just so you guys know, it's been taken down. This video, Selena Gomez took it off her Instagram, off of her social media. But obviously, guys like me, we saw it right away. We're like, fuck you. You're not getting away with this shit. So we downloaded it.
Internet never forgets.
Nope. And here's what I want to talk about. And this is what I posted about this morning. And this is what bothers me about a woman like her. Is that, one, she's full of shit. And don't ever forget that she's an actress. So she can cry all she wants about illegal immigrants being deported. But she did not shed one tear for the women that you're seeing on your screen right now. Those women were raped, murdered by illegal immigrants that are criminal already, that crossed the border, that ended up killing here. And on the picture, you're only seeing 9. But I have a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 10. There's one missing. She didn't shed one tear for those women. And if you look, half of them are Hispanic descent. Second thing, I did not see her cry one tear for the 300,000 kids that are missing right now. And guess what? Most of them are from South America. Kids that cross the border alone without parents that ICE cannot track. Did she cry about them? No. But she's crying about people that cross the border illegally instead of doing what she does best, making mediocre movies. Because I can tell you, as a Canadian that wants to emigrate to the US legally, as someone that runs his own business, that does not need help from the government, that is self-supporting, so is my wife, it is extremely fucking difficult. And until a week ago, until Trump changed that, I needed to be vaccinated, to have the COVID vaccine in order to be able to emigrate to the US as a Canadian.
That's crazy.
Yet she's crying for
that was in place
until I think it was January 22nd or 23rd last week. He
I didn't
changed
realize that. Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it. I knew it because I'm interested in immigrating. But the point is that you have videos like her where they're crying. Hollyweird is crying, is all upset. Yet they will not take any of those immigrants in their houses.
Oh,
they're
of course
still
not.
they're
Of
still
course
way.
not.
But the point is,
nobody will.
but the point in the matter is very simple. She's obviously a hypocrite. She does not care, and never forget that she's an actress. So for her to cry on camera is not very complicated. And this is virtue signaling 101 right there.
Well, yeah. So I mean, yeah. I mean, just as a blanket fact, generally Hollywood personalities are just virtue signaling. They don't really give a shit about the stuff they're talking about. They just, they follow whatever they believe is the trendy opinion to have. Now, what I think that is important, I mean, is that it definitely feels like there's a vibe shift, or I mean, there's lots of evidence everywhere you look, but this is one more piece of it. The reason she deleted us so fast is she was getting hit from all sides, and what she's doing, like, she was expecting, a great reception. Oh, how kind is Selena? She's such a great person. And people are just done with that shit. That it's just manipulative bullshit. Yeah, I mean, let's understand what we're talking about here. Like, she's talking about attacking people. No, they're going to fucking Mexico. You can go visit them. Mexico's not that bad of a place. It's not hell on earth. It's a country. At the end of the day, these people are not allowed to be here. And that is just the facts. Like, I understand wanting to make a better life for yourself. And I understand the whole, you do what you got to do. But at the same time, the people in the country that you're going to, they have to do what they have to do too. They need to look out for, America needs to look out for Americans. And, I feel like what Selena was trying to do, it's like the celebrities haven't realized that this vibe shift has happened yet. And it isn't, it's not necessarily just about immigration. It's about all of it. All this woke bullshit that they've been able to so successfully virtue signal for the past 5-10 years, all of a sudden, it's just not working anymore. And of course, for a little while, until they catch up, they'll be like, oh no, there's so much hate, there's so much bigotry. It's like, no, motherfucker, it is not hate to understand that laws exist, to know that there's a border. Like, immigration system right now is absolutely broken in the United States. And I'm a proponent. I'm a big fan of immigration. I think it's necessary, and I think it's a good thing for the country, but it has to be done right. We here in the West, in the US, in Canada, being one of the few countries in the world that people want to come to, that's a massive advantage. That is one of our biggest strategic advantages. But we lose that advantage if we just open the doors and let everyone in. What we should be doing is picking and choosing the best and the brightest from all over the world. That is our great strategic advantage. And we're just squandering it because, it's funny when you see, the quote unquote woke left, like, just embrace absolutely. I mean, this is one of my big problems with the left right now. You can't even talk about problems without being a racist or a bigot or a transphobe or a homophobe. I mean, it has nothing to do with the race of the people that are coming. It's the fact that a lot of these people are uneducated. There are a lot of criminals, and they're not criminals because they're Mexican. They're criminals because they're just some, Mexicans can be criminals too. And they're coming in here, and we are essentially, they're applying, or they're putting intent and a huge amount of pressure on the infrastructure, on social services. Here in Canada, housing prices are almost unaffordable, and it's simple supply and demand. I think up here in Canada, we brought 1 million people in over the last year. That's just too many. It does not matter the race of those people. That is just too many fucking people. And the way the left is structured now, and why it's so frustrating for me as a liberal, is we can't even talk about that. You know, if you have any opinion other than open doors, unchecked immigration, you're a racist, you're a bigot, and they will use that to shut it down, and it's worked. You know, up until for the last 10 years, that's been a very effective way of stifling dissent and making sure that their ideas aren't challenged. But times change. You know, that's part of what I was talking about at the beginning of this little rant here, is there's a vibe shift going on. And, you know, the celebrities are going to be the last to know, but there's going to be a lot more Selenas who realize that they are completely out of step, out of touch with the mood of the country. And I mean, you know, you love to see it when people sort of put their bullshit out there and get called on it. So yeah, no, I was glad when you messaged me and said we should talk about that. I was like, yeah, I definitely agree with that.
I was going to post, like I post about this stuff no matter what. And by the way, man, you got to check your headphone cord. It keeps on tapping on your microphone, so it does like clicks.
Yeah,
so
I'm gonna go get a new.
Bro, it's not a dick. Don't put it in your mouth. It's a microphone.
That actually reminds me of something really funny. So my mom, she checked out the show, and she just, you know, you got to know my mom. She's like classic mom, always trying.
Because that is a really fucked up transition. Talking about penises, and then your mom comes in.
Well, it'll make sense. It'll make sense in a second. So she was talking. Oh, you did so good on the show. I was like, oh, thanks, mom. She's like, you know, you look great there. You had such a nice big mic. I'm like, she kept going. It's like, oh, you had such a nice mic. I'm like, oh, thanks, mom. It's a weird thing to compliment me on. It's a nice big mic. But yeah, no, it's funny. It made me think of that. But yeah, no, I'm actually gonna. I think I'm gonna go get a new one because this.
It's not less fucked up. Your explanation doesn't make it any less weird. I'm not gonna judge.
I gotta be me, man.
It's bro. I'm in Alabama. People are fucked up here too, right? So
yeah. I mean, I get that ADHD thing where, like, and you know, most people have that thing where you have a thought in your head, and then you don't have to say it. I don't really have that. Like, as soon as I get a thought, it's out there, and you know, I got to work on that. But I think
I'm like you, you know, on that one. You and I are pretty much alike, so no worries, man.
Right on.
We're running late because we need to try to finish on time, see what happens.
Yeah.
So I know that you would rather speak about the New York Times than JD Vance. Although I would love to hear you talk about JD Vance because he's as Republican as they get, right?
You want to try to squeeze this in?
No.
We get maybe 10
go for minutes? It. Well, we can go a bit over. We just need to try to be better. We need to try to be able to do an hour. No, it's a skill that we need to develop. So it's up to you. If you want to touch both, that's fine by me.
Yeah, well, with Vance, it's going to be pretty quick, mostly just because it's just a continuation of the point that I was making.
Go for it.
Yesterday. But here we go.
This is a unique country. This is a very unique country, and it was founded by some immigrants and some settlers, but just because we were founded by immigrants.
Were you hearing that, or was that choppy?
No, it was laggy the whole way through. I didn't understand anything.
Okay. So basically, I'll just briefly explain it. So she said, well, this is because she was criticizing his immigration policy, or Trump's, just basically saying, you know, we got to basically secure our borders. And she said, well, this is a country founded by immigrants. And he said, that's very true. However, the fact that we were founded by immigrants 240 years ago does not mean that we need to have the dumbest, I think the word he used was the dumbest immigration policy in the world. Now, whether that's actually true or not, I don't know. But the point I was going to make is that this is kind of what I was saying yesterday about, you know, if Trump and Vance just start talking common fucking sense, they're going to get a whole lot of converts. I mean, you could see it in that reporter's face. Like, she expected to just shut him down with that, right? She sort of like how Selena Gomez expected everybody to fall over about how kind she is. And the vibe has shifted. and I think it's a good thing. But the, celebrities, media, they should take note that a lot of the tricks that have worked for the last 10 years to keep dissent in line, it's not working anymore. So, you might actually have to come up with arguments to defend your positions. You know what I mean? It's not going to be enough anymore to just shut down people by calling them a racist or a transphobe or a bigot. You're going to have to actually use logic. And I know that's scary for a lot of people, I think, but it's a brave new world.
I hope I hope that you're right. I hope that people will need to adapt, but at the same time, I don't really see it coming because they're not that smart in the first place. Like, we have to put it into perspective as to who, if you look at who those actors are, you know that most actors are extremely, extremely sick mentally, right? They have mental illnesses. There's a reason why, you look at politicians, most of them are sociopath. They don't have empathy for people. That's one of the things that most of them have in common. You look at people from Hollywood, you look at actors, they're looking for people to love them. They're looking for the love because they don't love themselves. So can you be no, but seriously, if you look at the psychology behind it,
but
I don't see them
similar things.
So all I'm saying is that the vast majority of them, the one that have, because some of them, like you look at a Denzel Washington, you don't hear him talk about this shit. You just don't. I'm a big fan of Denzel. Something with Mel Gibson. You don't hear him play those cards all the time. And the ones that did not play those cards will continue to do good in Hollywood. They will continue to thrive. But all those people over the past 15 years that have been depending on race card, on the type of shitty video that we saw from Selena Gomez, the people that have been playing that card that don't know what else to play because literally their personality has nothing else, are not going to change. But yet there's still going to be people that are going to support them because, as you know, the left woke still do like victims. And Selena Gomez in that video was just another victim. Poor little girl.
I still have holding out hope that we can change the left, that we can reform the left. I know there's a lot of sort of liberals like me who have sort of realized a lot of the problems, and a lot of them I think have just sort of given up and they've just gone to the right or just become a centrist or however they identify themselves. I think the left can still thrive. It just has to be we basically need to do like emergency surgery and excise a lot of the cancer that's sort of metastasized throughout the body politic. And then on that note, I'm going to get this last thing in because we're going to have time. All right. This is the thing that I wanted. This is the thing I want to talk about the most. All right. Share screen. All right, here we go. So yeah, if you see down here, 15% of women in prison among federal inmates are transgender. So just that sentence alone, it is itself using ideological speak. When you actually reframe it to reflect reality, what that says is 15% of the female prison population are men. And that is fucking insane. I think for the most part, I know it probably seems like for people on the right, like the entire left has lost its mind. And sometimes I feel like that too. However, I think a lot of it is honestly a lot of otherwise sane and normal progressives and liberals just have no fucking clue what is actually being done. They'll chant the slogans, right? They'll chant the mantras. Trans women are women, all that stuff. They don't actually believe it, but they'll say, "Oh, well, who's it hurt to call a woman she or a man she her?" Right? They'll go along with it, but they didn't actually sign up for men in female prisons. Like a lot of people do not think that that's happening, and there are hundreds, if not thousands, of male rapists who are in female prisons right now in the United States. In Canada, and some of them are actually raping women, and of course they fucking are. They are rapists, and all they have to say is the magical words, "I identify as a woman," and it's like these idiots will be like, oh, I guess she's a woman. We'll have to throw her in. And no one gives a shit about the actual woman. Can you imagine how horrific that would be to be locked up with, you know what I mean? A lot of the women in prison are themselves victims of sexual assault. To be locked up with a rapist, knowing that you can't say or do. There are a lot of reports now, women who are complaining, and they're getting disciplined. They're getting punished. So I think part of why I want to talk about this was really just to sort of raise awareness. I know there's going to be people out there be like, no, that can't be right. I'm telling you, it is fucking right. There is so much going on under the name of transgenderism that a lot of liberals and progressives do not know, and they would not support it if they did. You know, we all, as a progressive, I sort of went along with the, you know, when they started adding the TQ plus and the alphabet nonsense, you know what I mean? Like I in my mind, I was like, well, I support gay rights, and it's all, you know, they're kind of in the same. And so I just sort of lazily supported it. I didn't really think about it. It was only the last couple of years on Twitter it was Twitter then, when it was actually gay people, gay men and lesbians, who were raising the alarm. I kept seeing a lot of these people saying things like, no, like transgenderism, gender ideology is not an ally to the gay community. If you think about it, the only defining trait of sexual is same-sex attraction. And so if you eliminate sex as a definable category, the way that gender ideology is desperately trying to do, you eliminate or erase homosexuality. And of course, you don't actually eliminate them. They will still exist. However, if they cannot legally define themselves, they cannot legally protect themselves. And so these are the arguments that I heard, you know, a couple of years ago that really started to pique me, that started to make me realize, holy shit, there's a lot more that's going on that meets the eye. And trust me when I tell you, if you are sort of a liberal or progressive and you're listening to this, once you go down that rabbit hole, you will be fucking shocked at everything that's going on. I think, you know, most of us would be like, yeah, I support gay rights. I think people should be free to marry whoever they want. That does not mean that I believe that male rapists should be placed into female prisons. Are you kidding me? That doesn't mean that I believe that humans can change sex. I know that they can't change sex. I know men cannot give birth. I know women cannot have a penis. These are all things that are just, I never agreed to just because I support, you know, as a progressive, I support gay rights. And the reason why I think it's so important to talk about this is because I think, honestly, a lot of liberals and progressives just really have no idea what they're actually supporting. And when they find out, they're just not going to support. They're going to be like me, have a sort of existential crisis from a political standpoint. You know, a couple of years ago, I was like, even now, I find it hard to identify as a progressive or a liberal, even though I have been my whole life, because everything I see is so against what I thought being a liberal was all about. And you know, as we go through the show, we're going to dig into that a lot. But yeah, I think that blew my mind. 15% of the female prison population are men. Are you fucking kidding me?
You know,
I mean, I assume. Did you have any idea?
Blow your mind. Of course I did.
All right.
This type of shit I've known for. This is why you did not hear me say anything here, because everything you said I've known for years. This is not. This is things that I've seen coming since Obama, more than almost 11 years ago. This is easy to see if you look at history. This is the path it was going down. But on the subject that you're on right now, that's what I was researching as you were talking. So right now, on Google, you can literally go to Google right now and just say how many trans in women's prison there is, as per Google. And we're talking, Google is an extremely leftist censorship type of platform. 1,529. That's the amount. That's how many transgender women. But no, this is not what's insane. Hold on. This is where I want to blow your mind. So we're saying 1529, right? I have my calculator. So if you look at prisoners as a whole, right? Men and female, on average, just under 19%. So 20% of men in prison have been convicted for sexual crimes. So let's assume that that's the case, because they're men. Those are not fucking women. They're men. So let's forget the fact that 1,500 men with mental issues are in prison, because there's a woman that said in 2018 that she claimed that 41% of transgender women in prison were convicted sex offender. But let's say that that's untrue. Let's just go by the average of men. That means that if we take that 20%, we're looking at 305 men in federal prison right now are in prison because they raped women. 305. They were allowed in prison with women to wear a dress. And how many of them is all bullshit that they just said, I identify as a woman because I don't want to go to a male prison? Because they will get raped.
Many of them are
Sorry,
not.
I shouldn't look at that,
But at the end of the day, like, yeah, maybe they will be, like, maybe they are at risk there. But how is that women's fault? How does women are not meat shields for failed men? You know what I mean? There's already protocols in place for high risk prisoners. You know, if you're a cop and you go to prison, you're going to be put in protective custody for your own good. So if that's what you have to do with trans identified men, then that's what you have to do. But what you don't do is put male rapists. Most of them are fully intact, by the way. These are not post operation. These are men with fucking penises being placed in women's prisons. And they're one of the stories we'll talk about the next day or two is there's a case of a guy, I forget his name now. He's in California, big hulking dude, and they moved him to a women's prison and he raped 2 women. And of course he did. That's what you do. What's what happens when you put rapists in prison with women. And, you know, the thing that shocks me about all this is how did this even become a progressive or left-wing thing? Liberals are supposed to be about women's rights. How can you call yourself a supporter of women's rights when you know, we remember a couple of years ago, Me Too, believe women. Yeah, now the same people were saying that. Now it's believe women unless a man in a dress tells you something otherwise, and then believe him. You know what I mean? Like, so they're supporting putting men, rapists, into female prisons where they can and do go on to rape women. And the very same people that support this will call themselves a feminist. They will swear up and down that they support women's rights. And there's some major cognitive dissonance going on the left, the political left right now. And that is essentially my goal, you know, my side goal with this podcast is to raise awareness. I know you probably don't care too much about, you know, fixing the left as a righty. You might want to just as a broad idea that it's good to have a healthy left and a healthy right for society.
But I'm not a righty. I'm not a righty. I'm a conservative. I'm somewhere in the middle. It's just, I want to, like, one thing I've realized over 4 years of creating content is there are people that I can help and some I can't. And most of the woke people, the people that believe that it is normal for a man with a penis wearing a dress to be in women's prisons, if this does not bother you, I can't help you. There's nothing that I can say that will change your mind. If you're okay with male boxers being in the ring with women at the Olympics and destroying them, if you're okay with that and you will back that up, I cannot help you. I create content around this shit every day that it happens. If it's in the news, I'm going to talk about it. And my opinion has not changed. And the thing, you know, you're talking about trends, but you also referred to Me Too. Me Too started back in 2017. You know, back then I was dating this doctor, and we were at the cottage one day. We're just having a drink. We're eating. We're about 8 of us, right? Myself, her, and a bunch of her very, very liberal friends back then. All doctors and all good-looking women too. And they start talking about how Me Too needs to get out. Men needs to be prosecuted for what they've done and blah, blah, blah. The whole leftist bullshit speech that they had prepared. You know what I asked them? I'm like, okay, perfect. I'm like, name me a situation where this happened to you. All of them were struggling to find a situation that was really a Me Too move, like a Me Too type of hashtags. Yet I could name 2 myself where I've been sexually groped by vice presidents at my old company as a guy. Yet what did I do? Nothing. I understood that they were drunk. They did shit. People do dumb shit when they're drunk. I went to see a director. I'm like, you better get that woman out of here because what she's doing isn't appropriate. And I called it a day. I never made a big deal out of it because people are stupid and people will do dumb shit. I'm not saying that the Me Too movement, it wasn't okay. I'm not saying that sexual assault or sexual, because it was sexual assault. Being touched by somebody you don't want to be touched by at an inappropriate place is sexual assault. I'm not saying that it's correct. I'm just saying that I grew up. Yet all those women that were bitching about this shit could not find a single instance that it actually happened to her or that had happened to them. And most of those Me Too movement crap was bullshit. Yet this is but this is where it went, right? It went from, if you follow feminists, if you follow the movement, there's like four phases of feminism. If you look
Yeah, the
throughout
first,
history,
second, third waves.
like three or four, depending who you talk to. But
Mhm.
women wanted to be equal to men, as in they wanted to be able to vote. You know what? I can agree. I get it. I fully understand. Women wanted to be able to go in the workforce. You know what? Fully understand. Women and men, when it comes to the law, should be equal. We're not equal on biology. Men and women are not equal because we're not the same. That's all equal means. But in the face of the law, women and men should have the same rights. No questions about
Yeah.
it. But this is where feminists had to stop, but they didn't. They
I think,
wanted
yeah.
to become men. They wanted to become men and take over the patriarchy. Now we're at a point where men are women. This is the fourth wave. It's insane. It is
Well,
just, we're at an insane place in history, and it's going to have to peel back. So that's why when you talked about this for almost 10 minutes straight, all I'm saying, I'm laughing, I'm smiling, because to me this is something that I saw coming more than 10 years ago. It's just a matter of time. It
Yeah,
will
no,
stop
and
eventually, but it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Absolutely
well,
insane.
yeah, I mean, the backlash, you can already see it. I think it's going to pick up steam. And I think, within 5 to 10 years, we're going to look at so-called gender affirming care, the way we look at lobotomies today. I think it's going to go that route. But just kind of to touch on what you said there, and then I guess that'll probably wrap it up. Yeah, I
Hold
mean,
on. Let me just say one thing. Just let me
yeah,
interrupt you for 1 second. The only thing I
yeah,
want to make sure that is very clear. I do not believe we should swing too much to the right either. We need to be
yes.
very fucking careful that this does not become a witch hunt either.
Hmm.
Because let's remember that trans are people with mental illnesses. We need to stop letting them control society. We need to stop encouraging them, but at the same time, we need to give them the help that they need. We need to
Well,
agree on this. It cannot become, but we need to be very careful not to go to the complete other side and start hating those people. I don't hate trans people.
so, I mean,
I
this
think that
this
what they're
is
doing is idiotic, but they're still mentally ill. We need to remember
this.
that they need help. We just need to
Well,
stop encouraging their dumb behavior.
yeah, I mean, this is absolutely my bread and butter. This is mostly what I talk about on Twitter. I mean, and that is essentially exactly what I say the whole time. Like, we need to, it is a mental illness, but that's exactly why we need to treat it correctly. It is not kind. It is not a good thing to treat people with a mental illness by cutting off parts of their body and
No,
lying to them about things that are not true. No, you are not a woman. Uh, the fact that you believe you are is a mental illness, and we will treat it as such. Of course, trans people should be treated with compassion and dignity, and we should have empathy for them. But we cannot. I mean, having empathy for them is treating them correctly, treating their mental illnesses correctly. And I think, just sort of I think that was a pretty good roundup of sort of first, second wave feminism, which I
I
think
just wanted to
most
put
people
it out
probably.
there as a conservative. I just want
Yes,
to make
yes.
sure that people understand that even though I'm a conservative, I don't approve the way they live their lives. That does not mean I hate them. That does not mean I don't want them to get the help that they need. I just
No,
wanted to
and
be very clear from a conservative perspective that this is how we feel about this, right?
yeah, I think I think it's important to sort of have this conversation with those sort of caveats and make sure, because it can be, there are people out there who actually are just pieces of shit, right? And are just trying to tear people down, attack people. And I think you want to certainly separate yourself from that. And while we may have sympathy and empathy for people who believe the lie that they're born in the wrong body, by no means should we be allowing these people to dictate law and policy for the rest of us. You know, by no means should we be allowing mentally ill people to be setting the tone and deciding laws and policies for the rest of us, especially when it like they'll say, oh, well, who does it hurt to call that man a woman? Well, if he then takes that and uses that to demand access to women's bathrooms, to women's sports, to women's prisons, well, then I guess we see who it hurts. It hurts 50% of the fucking population. It hurts our mothers, our wives, our girlfriends, our daughters, our sisters. It hurts all of those people. And this is why, and I think you'll probably agree with me on this, the language is so important. You know, this is how they backdoored this by insisting that they call it misgendering, and they say it's literal violence, right? To call a man, that's literal violence to them. But the reason they did this is because and this is why I try to tell, other progressives and liberals who say, oh, well, who does it hurt? Who's it harm? I say, every time you call a man she or her, you make it that much harder to tell that man he's not allowed in the women's bathroom. You make it that much harder to tell that man that he is not allowed to compete in women's sports, or he is not allowed, if he goes to prison, he's not going to a female prison. And it all starts with language. And that's the first thing that we need to do. And I'm speaking to people on the left here now, is get away from this ideological. It is not neutral language. It is the core. It's the Trojan horse through which this ideology rode in on. And the first thing we need to do is just start speaking in plain English, speak reality, speak truth. It's not any harder than that. If that's our policy, just speak the fucking truth. Everything else will work out. But I definitely appreciate your argument there. Sort of clarifying.
It comes down. The way I like to explain to explain this is simple. Would you encourage somebody that has anorexia to eat less, or would you tell somebody that has bulimia that it's okay to throw up after her meals?
That's great. That's the best analogy you can. Yeah.
You would not encourage this type of behavior, yet. It would be, you know what? It would cause less damage to tell an anorexic person to stop eating than it is to, oh, you don't feel right in your body? Cut off your penis, cut off your boobs, take hormones that will sterilize you. It's less damageable.
Yeah.
So it's right. Just, but that's all it is, right?
That analogy
we have left.
It couldn't be. It's perfect. It's exact.
We live in a world, unfortunately, right now that we have left the patient. We've allowed the patients to run the asylum. Mm-hmm. We just need to put the doctors back in place with common sense.
That's right.
They're not there to reaffirm their crazy actions and just say your insanity. We'll deal with it, because those people are insane. Like mental illnesses, insane. Like I look at them, I'm like, there's something very wrong.
Yeah,
so
help them.
Let's help them.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're going to tell me, the trans activists will say, "Oh, it's not a mental illness," but then in the next breath they'll say, "We need to transition kids, or they will kill themselves." Like, you can't have it both ways, because that is what mentally ill people do. Mentally ill people kill themselves. If you're going to tell me that 15-year-old boy will kill himself if he's not allowed to cut his penis off, and then say, "Oh, but it's not a mental illness," I'm not going to believe you, because the first thing you said suggests that it's very, very much is a mental illness. And like the anorexia example you use, not only would we not do it, but we would immediately see it as abusive if we did that. If someone with anorexia who mistakenly believes they're obese, if we start giving them liposuction and affirming it, and we say, yes, you are obese, anyone can see how that would be extremely abusive. And yet the same people don't see anything wrong with the exact same situation where a teenager has the same mistaken belief that they're trapped in the wrong body. And instead of treating that mental illness, we say, yes, you are trapped in the wrong body. We'll cut your breasts off. We'll cut your penis off. We'll pump you full of hormones. And then what happens is they hit 20 or 25 and everything collapses. There's a detransition sub on Reddit. It's got like 50,000 people, and that's all you hear, story after story after story of people now who are 21, 22, 23 years old, and they feel like their life is over before it's even begun because their mental illness wasn't treated, so it's still there, and now they've cut their body to pieces. Many of them have destroyed their relationships with their family, because that's another thing that is very big in trans activism, is isolating you from your family. And I mean, that's classic cult-like behavior, right? That's classic abusive behavior. You see it all the time. These creeps like Jeffrey Marsh, I don't know if you know who that is, but he's just this TikTok creep. And all he does is make TikToks talking to kids and be like, I'm your family now. I'm your family now. And it's just, it's incredibly creepy.
That guy's a predator. That guy's a predator.
Yeah. Oh,
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah.
And
big old teeth, big old buck fucking teeth.
Yeah. That guy's is dangerous. You just look at the way that he talks. That's predator talk right there.
Absolutely. It's not even like, oh, that's a weird guy. That is a dangerous man. That is a dangerous man.
It's just, oof. Like, obviously, this is my opinion, but man, you look at that person and you're just like, something's very off here. And this is the last person. Would you leave your kids with that guy? No, I wouldn't.
Absolutely not. And that's actually a great question to ask. A lot of the people who say, oh, trans women are women, blah, blah, blah. Okay, would you
leave your kids with them?
Yeah, and they might say they will, but they will not. But it's a good example, though, of how, the phrase woke mind virus has been, passed around a lot. But in a lot of ways, I sort of used to roll my eyes at it, but in a lot of ways, it actually fits perfectly, because not once you get infected by it, it almost like it changes how you view the world. Like, it shuts down a lot of parents' safeguarding features. So there's a lot of parents who, if they saw the Jeffrey Marsh on their kid's TikTok screen, would block him, take the phone from their kid. But because he's got a rainbow flag in the background, it's like, that makes it different. That makes it okay. And they can't, because they've been brainwashed. They've been taught that, oh, I'm a homophobe if I'm worried. But no, you're not. You're just a normal parent those alarm bells are your gut feeling telling you there's a problem here. And, that is one of the defining features of what you might want to call the woke mind virus. Not just that it has ideologies and beliefs behind it, but it also changes the basic functioning of the brains of the people that are infected by it. And I think, it's a major problem. And I say that as a progressive, as a liberal. I think, what you want to call woke or whatever is actually, it is a radicalized, grotesque version of liberalism and progressivism, but it has nothing to actually do with it. You can absolutely get rid of it, and we should. And that should be the discussion that's happening on the left everywhere. And hopefully, by people like me and you having this discussion, there are a lot of people that are talking about it. Eventually, it will penetrate. It will get through to the mainstream. Just got to kind of keep at it.
To anybody on here, if you want, where is my? Hold on here. I'm looking for a specific book from one of the craziest. Here we go. Now, if you guys don't understand what Marxism is, wokeism is derived from Marxism. Marxism is the grandfather of socialism and communism. And just like Mao did in China, they always go after the children and they try to separate them from their parents. So the pervert that you're talking about on TikTok, he always encourage, talk to me, don't talk to your parents. Now, if you want to understand why that works, you guys should read this book, Rules for Radicals by Saul D. Alinsky. And why this is important, because we're talking about a mentor to Hillary Clinton, and this was the type of book that was on the bookshelf of Mr. Obama while he was president. Obama is a big fan of Alinsky, and this guy shows you how to use Marxism to change society, and he's part of what is happening today. So he's been dead for a while, but his ideology is what has brought the LGBTQ plus alphabet and their indoctrination of our children It is all based on what he teaches. So if you want to understand what's actually going on, how it actually happened, and understand how sick this is, read this and read a book called Irreversible Damage by
Yes. What is her name?
Abigail Schreier.
Shriver, yeah,
Abigail
that is a great
Schreier.
book.
If you want to read, if you want to get your mind blown about who's really affected by those transgender policies, it ain't dudes with beards. It's young teenager women.
If you want to know who it hurts, read that book, because it's
young women. It really saddens me. This is how I found Buck Angel, because Buck Angel is referred as at the end of the book. I reached out to him. We had a podcast, him and I. Great woman / dude. That guy fucks with my head because I call him a dude. He's a woman, but he knows that he's a woman, but he has more of a beard than I do.
Yep, that I just want to touch on that because I think that's so important. I personally, as I guess a liberal, and I feel like you probably have some. This is a live and let live policy, right? Like you're worried about your own life. I mean, how someone wants to dress or act, as long as they're not hurting anyone. At least this is how I feel. Whatever, fill your boots. Buck Angel, I mean, obviously has a mental illness that causes, her
body dysphoria.
Yeah, but she recognizes it. She does not believe that she is a man. She has done what she needed to do. The other thing is she did it as an adult. And I mean, if you're 30 years old and you want to cut your body to pieces, I don't really give a shit. Just stay the fuck out of women's bathrooms. If you're a man, stay out of women's sports, stay out of women's prisons. Stay away from kids and fill your boots. Do whatever you want to do. But you are not a woman. You are a man who is more comfortable living as a woman, and that's fine. As long as a trans person is aware that they are not the opposite sex and does not try to push that ideology into kids, I don't have an issue with it. I don't really care. I got my own shit to worry about. I'm not really worried about what some weirdo over there is doing, as long as they're not causing harm to the community, by pushing that ideology onto kids, by teaching kids to hate themselves and hate their bodies. And there are a lot of trans people out there who are like that. They'll often call themselves transsexuals. They sort of reject the word.
But they're not calling themselves anything. That's the real term. Transsexual is the term related to the mental illness of not seeing yourself in the right body. But Buck Angel knows that she presents as a man because it helps her. It makes her happy to see herself as a man. But she is not a man, and she'll be the first one to tell you. But you guys, if you want to hear about it, I really suggest you listen to the podcast I did with her. It was great. Like, as a conservative, I showed up as a conservative. I approached her saying that. But very well spoken individual. He definitely, I call him a he just because you know what?
It's a mind fuck, right?
Yeah, but learn the difference between transsexual and transgender. There is a massive difference between the two. So read Irreversible Damage by Abigail Schreier. If you've never read this, read it. This book will fucking blow your mind.
Especially if you're a liberal, especially if you're a progressive, especially if you say things like trans women are women.
Even as a conservative,
everyone should, for sure.
The thing is, no, but even conservatives, because most conservatives will think that transgenders are dudes with a beard, a penis, and a dress. Yet we're so far off reality because that's the smaller portion of it. The vast majority of people that refer to themselves as transgenders or young women or teenage women or kids, female kids. This is who it's really hurting.
Many of them
not
are
men.
Many of them are. A lot of them are autistic.
And that's my point. And this, I did not realize that because I fell under the social media umbrella of the crazy man in dresses. But yet, when I was reading your book, it hurt my heart. Because I'm like, fuck, it's really young girls that are being affected by this the most. Yet, the feminists that back men in dresses do not address the fact that most women, it is most women, females that are affected by this. Yet, the feminists back men in dresses, but do not address the fact that young women are suffering.
Women are being hurt.
How
Now,
ironic!
there is
ironic,
a
right?
type of feminist that you've heard the term TERFs.
Yes,
TERF,
but they're not real. But they're not
radical feminists.
They're
Well, I mean,
they're the old. You are the equivalent. You're becoming the equivalent of a classical liberal. Those women you're referring to are classical feminists. They're the feminists of the second wave that wanted equality. They're not trying to be men, nor do they want men to be women. Right? That's the difference. Those women, as much as they're feminists, they're not crazy feminists. They're the old school, traditional, more not conservative. Yeah, I guess you could say conservative. They're conservative
Some of them are.
feminists.
Some of them are.
That's how we should call them. They're conservative feminists.
And I mean, but yeah, there's definitely and they are within the broader feminist community often looked at as like, you know, the outsiders. They're often not welcome in broader feminist, because what an effective marketing campaign transgenderism has had. They have managed to convince feminists that, you know, as long as a man puts on a dress and says he's a woman, then you should allow him to take whatever, you know, he should have unquestioned access to female single-sex spaces that women have fought for 100 years, that the same feminists have fought for 100 years to win for these women. You know, things like women's sports, that was a right won by early feminists. I think it wasn't until 1900 when the Olympics added women's sports. They did that because after, you know, activist campaigns of women advocating for this, and it was granted to them. It was a right won. And now 100 years later, some of the same feminists or who think they are giving away this right to men. And it's very dystopian. It's very Orwellian what we're seeing right now. And all we can do is talk about it and hope it does something, hope it changes something.
This is not even Orwellian. That's not even 1984. Go read Brave New World by Huxley. George Orwell's mentor wrote a book, Brave New World. We live in a combination of Brave New World and 1984. If you put those two books together, this is where we fucking live right now.
Yeah. Oh, we just got a comment. It's funny.
An hour and a half.
Yeah. Just got a comment, and you know what's funny? NY Varsity Sports says you guys should call this.
Oh, brother.
Podcast
yeah, I know this. I know this guy. I know this guy very well. He's a good dude.
Nice.
Yeah. He's a good dude. Thanks, brother.
That's actually not.
He's a lefty.
Not a bad idea.
Is he? I've been on his podcast a few times, and he's a fucking lefty.
He's on this side.
I'm gonna say it because that means he's listening. You're a lefty, bruh. But yeah, no, he's a great dude, and he's a guy from California, ex-military, more liberal, but he political homeless.
I actually like that.
Great fucking title.
I had thought of that. I mean, fuck. Well, I mean, we can think about it. I don't know. Are we too far in to change it? Have we branded ourselves, or what do you think? I like it.
We don't have to talk about this online. We don't have to talk about it online. Let's take it away because
don't air our dirty laundry on public.
You already exposed the fact. No, but hold on. You already exposed the fact today that you're kind of gay and your mother likes big black microphones. So I think that we should stop that today. We've been too far. We're too far, bro.
BBMs.
That's great. That is BBMs. That's awesome. Let's cut it right there.
And on that note,
guys, I just want to add, if you've enjoyed this, make sure to follow us. Make sure to follow the silent middle. Maybe it's going to be changed, but the silent middle on X. Follow Rob on X if you're not already. Follow me at Real Nico Lagan on X. Check us out. Comment, posts, repost. Tell us what you want us to talk about.
That's exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
You know, the classic, I didn't leave the left left me. And like
we're going to have to have him on. We should actually have him on. He would be a great guest for this. But all to say, guys, if you like this, yeah. Yes. Oh no, he has a massive platform on YouTube. He does podcasting all the time. He's a great dude. I'm really a fan of him. I'm not naming him right now, but he's a cool dude. He's a very
Yeah.
good. Let's have him on until
Speaking
guys
of,
until tomorrow.
I'm the gay one. Who's sounding gay now? Big old
He's
man.
bro.
Big old man.
I'm not gay. I'm French.
Yeah.
There's a very fine line between both.
That's right. That's right. I feel like that actually works. That's actually if someone's like, oh, he's not gay, he's just French. People be like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense.
I'm just French. I love it. It is okay.
It's a thing. It's a French thing. Yeah.
Okay,
all right, guys.
let's cut it.
Take care. We'll see.
Thank
we'll
you.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.